It's recording. I'll have to. There it goes.
There we go. Dalton Lewis from the Stickboys. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Just winding down for the evening.
We were just talking a minute ago about you were trying to roost a bird, but no luck, huh? Didn't hear anything.
No, I had one. I had one answering me, but he was too far off and it was getting too late. So he ended up roosting somewhere else. So, and then there was a lot of stuff going on where I was at as far as neighbors going on. So that probably had something to do with it. So I go after a different one in the morning, hopefully.
Different spot or different
Yeah, we're going to go to a different property tomorrow. There's a place that I've been that it's usually not great until the last couple weeks of the season, and the reason why is they don't really stay there all the time. It's just hardwoods, and so they, when it's done, when they start busting up later in the year, it's a really good place to hunt. So this last week, I think our season ends next Saturday, so I'm gonna get there as much as possible. I think in the morning we might can find one. There's several around. Every time we've been out there, there's been multiple gobblers. They've just been, 300-400 yards away most of the time. So
gotcha. You
want
want
in the
to?
morning?
Yeah, I hope so. You got to keep me posted. Let me know in the morning. But you want to just let the viewers, listeners know what who you are, what you do. I think most of them that are listening to this probably already know who you are, but just in case.
Yeah. It depends on who's asking. No.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. No. Like you said, I'm Dalton Lewis. I'm just a redneck from the mountains, North Carolina. Likes to tote around a stick bow and a video camera, and for whatever reason, folks have enjoyed watching it over the years, and it's done pretty well. We've got a podcast going, and that's been pretty enjoyable. It's also the Stickboys, so it's been pretty enjoyable. For the I started off just goofing off with the camera, and then ended up getting more serious with it, and it's just kind of blossomed from there. I'm a school teacher. I teach 7th grade. At the middle school here, local middle school here. So I do that. I got a pretty little girl. She's 6 months old, and she's about the greatest part of this life for me. So it's good to get out and hunt, and it's good to get back home to her. So
yeah, it's such a great feeling, right? Having a kid.
Yeah, she's something else. See, I can't wait. I can wait, actually. I say that and I don't mean it. I can wait to get a bow in her hand, because I don't want this to go. I don't want her to grow up too fast. I don't want to look around, which I know it'll happen anyway, but I don't want to look around and her be 10, 12 years old and me sit there and wonder where it went. But I know that'll happen either way. But
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, but I'm not going to wish it away. I'm excited about getting a bow in her hand as early as possible.
Well, you've known my son, Nick, I don't know, at least 10, 12 years, and he's graduating high school. So, man,
that's hard.
Talk about flying by. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely hard to believe. It seems like yesterday he was just a little fella sitting there at the restaurant outside of the hog hunting place there. So that's unbelievable to think that he's in college now.
I know, soon to be. Good thing I haven't aged at all.
Yeah, yours a little bit more gray on top than there was when I first met you.
little less hair too.
Yeah, a little less there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is there is more gray, but that's okay.
Yeah, man.
I'm right behind you. I'm sure it won't take long.
So you're into turkey season, and you've had some luck already, right? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I actually, it was on the second day of the season. The first day of the season, I had hunted all day pretty much, and it was just terrible. Here, a lot of people think of North Carolina and they think like Raleigh and Greensboro, and where it's hot all the time, it's flat for the most part, and doesn't really get below 50 or 60 degrees, and that's true for the eastern part of the state. But where I'm from, we're over 3,000 feet, and we get some pretty nasty winters, pretty good snows, and it's cold here quite a bit. So actually, opening day was pretty well brutal. It was in the 20s and wind blowing 20 plus miles an hour and snow on the ground, and it was terrible. We almost killed one still yet on opening morning, but it didn't happen. But I after church on Sunday, the second day, I just had a sneaky suspicion. I knew where a couple were hanging out. I'd scouted it pretty extensively and kind of knew what they were doing, and I knew middle of the day they're probably going to be something within earshot of a certain knoll on a small property I have to hunt. So I slipped in there and and got set up on a knoll. And it's just a lot of people don't realize deer or turkeys are a lot like hunting deer if you're going to be good at it. You've got good turkey callers, but the best turkey callers, and when I mean turkey callers, I mean folks calling in turkeys, not the actual turkey calls. The best folks know where they're going, period. And they know kind of how they use the area and what they're doing and what they should be doing at that time of day. And so this will be a good place to kill anything. It's just a little pinch point. And so I got set up and called, and sure enough, a couple answered, and they walked across a highway, and a Ford Ranger had to let them walk across the road in front of him. I saw that. It's the place right, it's in town. So yeah, it was pretty cool, man. They came right up and walked straight down to the decoys and put on a show. And that was that. Made a good shot, made it about 30 yards. Of course, it was a whopping 5 steps to the decoy. So it makes life just a little bit easier. But
very cool.
It was an enjoyable hunt. I really liked it. And it was, I was glad it happened because I've hunted, I had 8 days in a row. We were on spring break, had 8 days in a row to hunt. And that was the second day. And that was the only mature bird that I've had within 30 yards. Called in a couple of jobblers, jakes that gobble.
Jobblers.
They've come in. I've had a couple of them come in, peck on the decoy a little bit, but it's not the usual thing. I don't know how it is down there. But here, and I think a lot of places in the country, our population is just way, way, way down from what it was just a few.
I've heard that from a lot of guys that I know from all over.
I started hunting them with a stick bow, and because not trying to sound arrogant, but I would be tagged out by the second morning easy on turkey season with a shotgun because there was that many birds. If you messed one up, whoop-de-doo, walk 300 yards, hit a call again, and you're going to find another bird. And we were loaded in turkeys, and so that's why I started hunting with a stick bow, just to try to elongate the season. And it's nothing like that anymore. Last year was worse than this year. This year there seems to be a little more birds than last year, but still nothing compared to what it used to be. And I'm really afraid for what's coming. I just don't see it getting a whole lot better right away. But
I guess it's bad for the turkeys, but maybe it adds to the challenge a bit. I mean, not that it's not hard already with a stick bow.
Yeah, it's
and filming and shooting with a stick bow.
It's hard to kill a critter that don't exist. And that's
good point.
Yeah, Gene Wenzel talks about killing monster deer. He said you can only hunt monster deer where monster deer live. And that's the case with turkeys. If there's no turkeys there, then it's not going to happen for you, no matter how good of a turkey hunter you are. So, yeah, I don't know. I know they're calling a lot of meetings. NWTF's doing a lot. I know there's some pretty big YouTube channels that are trying to pitch in and try to do some research and figure out what's going on. I like anything. I think it's a giant conglomeration of things. I think there's 4 or 5 different factors that's weighing heavy on it. I know. I think in my personal uneducated opinion, I think that nest predators probably are the biggest reason why. Growing up, I knew a lot of coon hunters that would, you could go out and sit on your porch and you could hear dogs running at night, and I've actually, when I was in high school, I lost a place to hunt because they thought I was the one coon hunting. And I tried to tell them I wasn't one of the coon hunting, but I still lost a place to hunt. It was terrible. Mm-hmm. But they were everywhere, there was coon hunters everywhere. And now you never hear that. Nobody coon hunts. Nobody, the hides aren't worth anything.
That's it. Yeah, the hides are nothing anymore.
So it's for folks. It's really not worth it unless they like running the dogs. And now land is so chunked up. A lot of people don't realize 20, 30 years ago, 100 acres of land, 200 acres of land, that was pretty common. Now most of the place I hunt, unless I'm mistaken something, I think I have exactly one property that is over 20 acres to hunt as far as private goes. And because everything's chunked into 4, 5, 6 acre plots, or 15, 20 acre plots, but because people have made them for, they built houses and they've what's happened is the patriarch of the family has died out, and then it's went to the kids. And of course the kids would rather have the money, because they're living somewhere else doing something else. And so they'll sell off. And what used to be a 120 acre tract is now, 52 1 acre tracts or 2 acre tracts. So I think that's a big part of it, because dogs obviously don't read trespassing signs. They don't read posted signs. Folks don't like dogs getting all over them. And I can see that. So I know I think that's part of it, along with the pelts, and that's hard. And, I know that there's a lot of research coming out about that I've been reading about the flock dynamics. And I think it's pretty new information to find out that hens are pretty particular about what gobbler breeds them. And, that pecking order that's established all fall and all winter, if you kill that daddy rabbit the first day of the season, by the time another tom comes in and kind of gets the hens back together and gets the whole thing going back together, it's almost too late. And so I know that that's a problem. I know a lot of states are moving their seasons back. Georgia's moving their season back. Alabama's moved it back, I think. A lot of southeastern states have moved their season back. And I think that's probably for the better, because that's letting those birds get bred and do their thing. And then
So later season then, slightly later.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and that makes that makes the toms dispensable. That makes them to where it's not that big of a deal if you kill them, because they've done their job.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah. And of course I'm completely uneducated. Somebody may email you and say that guy's an idiot. And I definitely am an idiot, but I think
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think that's, I think it's like I said, there's several things going on there. And that's a big problem. I was actually telling Ethan, we were talking on the phone last night about how bad things have been turkey hunting wise. And, we're talking places. Ethan's got 3 or 4 places to hunt that we would go. And it wasn't a matter of if you heard birds gobble. It was a matter of which one did we want to go after? Which one did we think was alone? Was there a reason to think this one was alone and this one wasn't? Which one do we think we could catch up with at 10? And which one do we think we could kill on the roost? That was the game. It wasn't, are we going to hear birds this morning? Now, all 3 of those places that he's got to hunt, I mean, he's one day he's heard gobbles. Other than that, he's not even heard a gobble.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's terrible. And I can't tell you how long it's been. I saw exactly 2 hens with poults in the last about 4 years. And you would see poults all the time in the summer. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm worried about it because I love chasing turkeys. I love eating turkeys. But as I told Ethan yesterday, I killed one. I've got another tag, and me, I'll be after them. But if I don't feel that tag, my feelings are not going to be hurt at all. Because it's probably better that I don't feel that second tag, to be completely honest. Although there's no way I can quit. I'm an addict. An addict by definition can't control himself. So, so I'm going to be after him.
It'll just be the next thing after turkey season, and it'll be planning for deer season, and maybe a
all
little
that
bit of
never
fishing.
ends, man.
That ends. That never ends. True.
Yeah, I was up in Ohio turkey hunting last weekend, and the birds kind of went quiet on me about 8:30, and the neighbor, actually, I was on some birds, slipped in quiet, got in. I mean, perfect, right on some birds. And I thought, I was just sitting there grinning. I thought, man, this is awesome. And they ended up flying down and kind of walking around the knoll from me. And there was apparently another guy sitting there, and he blasted one. So,
you didn't know he was there?
Oh, well, I knew he was. I was hunting on the edge of public private, and I'd talked to him the day before. He was hunting the private beside it, and I'd actually ran into him and talked to him the day before. Nice guy. And but he caught one. And so about 8:30, I was like, I'm gonna see if I can find another one. And that didn't take very long. And I was looking for deer is what I was doing, scouting. I ended up finding, I hadn't been able to sleep at night thinking about it. It just sets up so perfect. I am so excited to get back in there in October and try to catch up with that old boy. But,
and your dad did kill one though, right?
Yeah, he had one. He had to shoot one in self-defense, I reckon, on opening day. It flew down, and he had 2 racing to him, and unlucky for that one, he was the first one to get there, and he got it. But it was a big old bird. But
nice.
Yeah, so it was a good time. There's a few more birds up there than there are here, so it's good to get up there. I'm gonna try to. We're going up. I guess it's 2 weeks from now. We're going up to the Push is putting on a turkey hunt and with you guys coming in. So we're going to go up there and hunt with those guys and
Very
try
cool.
around there. So yeah.
Where are they? Are they in Pennsylvania? Where are they? Where is that?
I think they're from Pennsylvania and Ohio.
Okay. Yeah.
So the hunt's actually in Ohio. So
Gotcha.
It works out good.
So let's rewind a little bit. I know a lot of this because we've known each other a long time, but you want to just share with the listeners like your background in terms of hunting? I know your father got you into it very young.
Oh yeah.
Was it archery right from the start, or did you do gun hunt a
so
little bit?
So I was hopeless absolutely from the start. There's pictures of me. Dad's got pictures of me of when I'm like in diapers with the little bow shooting a deer that he's killed. And I'm standing out in the driveway in these little kitty rubber boots and a diaper and a shirt shooting this deer over and over again with this little toy bow. And I had it bad from the get-go. When I was a little kid, I would dress up in Dad's camo, and Dad put me a little tree stand in the yard. And I mean, it was like a foot high. It was one of your tree stands, and it still might have been too high, but anyway, it was like 3 foot high. But anyway,
that is high. Dang. So,
you
were strapped in though, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't strapped in, but so I jump in there and I'm wearing it. It's the coolest picture ever. I'm wearing head to toe camo. It's all like 10 sizes too big because it's Dad's camo. Wearing a face net that like engulfs my entire head, and a hat, and I've got my little self bow Dad built me. When Dad found out that when they found out they were expecting, Mom and Dad did, Dad started making a self bow, and that was my first bow. And Dad said I would go out there in that tree stand and just sit for hours. And he'd come out there and ask me what I was doing, and he said I would always say that I was squirrel hunting. I was waiting on a squirrel. And of course, I was a little fella, I wasn't gonna kill nothing. But I would sit up there for hours apparently, and I never really had I never had a choice. And I got a little bit older, not much older, same bow. We were sitting there Christmas morning, and Dad said that my grandma looked over and said, "Well, ain't that cute? His little bow. That's just the cutest little thing, him with that little bow." And Dad said that just made me fighting mad for some reason, that she kept calling him cute. And he said that I pulled back and parted her hair with the arrow, and it slammed on the wall behind it. And she said, "Well, he can shoot that thing, can he?" Yeah, that was pretty good. And I got in trouble with that thing. So Dad one day said I was playing in this back room, and I'm a little fella. I was apparently 5 or 6 years old. Dad said all of a sudden he heard the window shatter, and he's like, "What the heck is going on?" So he goes back to the back room of the house, and here I am standing there with my teeth in my mouth, looking around. And I had taped a picture of a deer, cut it out of a magazine, taped it to the window, stepped back to the bow, and shot the window out, shooting the deer taped to the wall or the window. And so yeah, you could say that I got it. I got it on.
Yeah,
there was
you had good FOC on that arrow. That was
definitely. Yeah, there was some thought behind that setup, but no, I never had an option. That was born into me. I don't know. It's not like I ever chose to love bow hunting. It just, it was there. And I've honestly laid awake at night wondering how in the world I could get my little girl to feel the same way about bow hunting. And I just don't know that there's a way to make that happen, but I sure hope it does. Cause I've been addicted to it ever since. And,
well, me, I like fishing and hunting almost equally, probably hunting maybe a little bit more, but I never forced it on Nick. Any of it, not the art, not the hunting, not the fishing, but he's really, the last 3 years has really taken to the hunting. And I just can't be more thrilled, because we can do that together as long as I'm alive. And the art just came natural to him. But I'm sure once he gets more into the, especially where we're going to be living in North Carolina, there's more fishing opportunities a little closer by and less brutal than the Everglades. So I'm thinking he'll get more into the fishing too when we're up there, because he does like the mountains. He loves the mountains. He'd rather trout fish than fish in the Keys.
Yeah, everybody has a different path. Like I said, I never had an option. I was always an addict and always that way. My brother, on the other hand, wasn't. I mean, he grew up in the same household doing the same things, but he never really got into it as much as I did. And up and in high school, he he was one of those guys that would go hunting one time, kill a big deer, and not go again the rest of the year. And he just was really lucky, and that kind of ruined him. And he didn't find any value in it because he didn't struggle. And
Yeah.
so he didn't really do anything with it until he got married. And then he started asking me a lot about going fishing. And I'm like, yeah, we'll go fishing. And we go fishing. And I'm just the opposite. I like to fish, but I love to bow hunt. Like that's my thing, bow hunting. And I told him as soon as he got interested in fishing, I said, you're in trouble. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, if you like fishing, you're going to love bow hunting. And
Oh yeah.
he said, what do you mean? I said, you'll see. So he started shooting, in March or something that year and killed his first deer with a stick bow on opening day, shot a 4-point on opening day. And he was like calling me freaking out, like in a rage and panic. And he's like, oh, this is insane. And he's like, I can't believe it. And he's killed big deer everywhere, but this 4-pointer just absolutely wrecked him out. So folks have different paths. And a lot of people don't realize that. I think a lot of parents get discouraged when their kid is, 16, 18, 20 and not really going after it like that. But sometimes it just takes time, man. It takes time to settle in. It takes time for them to figure out who they are and what they like to do. And, with Dylan specifically, that was the case. But I never had a second where I wasn't thinking about bow hunting. That's
same here.
Sure. I didn't stay. I started with stick bow, obviously, because Dad made me a cell bow when I was a kid. When I got older, I switched to a compound just because I could hunt with it, and so I killed my first deer with a bow pretty early, and I don't remember how old I was, but I really wish I'd have kept records when I was, just started keeping records the whole time so I could look back at some of that stuff, but I didn't. And I was pretty young when I killed my first deer with a bow. And then, there was several years there that North Carolina had like unlimited does. And when you've been here, when things were really good,
oh yeah.
There's a lot of deer here now, but there was a lot of deer here back in the day.
Yeah, it was crazy when I first started hunting there.
So the same kind of thing happened with bow hunting that, like I was saying, with turkey hunting. I would go and in some of these places I would have to hunt as a depredation permit, basically. Like there was, you killed everything that moved, and it was tree farms, things like that. And so I just got bored with the compound, just to be completely honest. It kind of felt like a rifle. I put the pin on it and pull through, and it was over. The deer was done. And I don't know, nothing against it. I know folks that love it, and there's nothing against it at all. I don't mean it like that, but I realized real quick that I was about to get bored with it, and I was about to put it down. And that scared me really bad, because that's something that I've loved my entire life. And one thing I realized, I started hunting too, I got into the trophy phase like everybody else. And, about the fourth time I let a good mature buck for around here walk because he didn't have 130 inches on his head. I thought, why are you even here? If you're not going to shoot that deer, that's a mature buck. That's as good as it's going to get around here, because there's, like Gene Wenzel said, you got to hunt big deer when there's big deer. And we don't have that many big deer. It's just,
they're big for there. They're big for there. It's just the regional.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're mature. They're the best we got, but it's not like you're going to see like in Ohio,
right.
When you're in Ohio, you literally, anything could walk by at any point.
Right.
Like a 200-inch deer could walk by, and that nobody's going to blink an eye. Like that happens yearly, So, but no, I did that. And so that's what got me back into a stick bow. And that was in high school, early high school. I got back into a stick bow and haven't looked back since. And I don't hunt with anything else. I've recently you got me into shooting a side block, 50 muzzleloader. I've enjoyed that a little bit the last couple of years, late season. But for the 99% of the time, I've got a longbow with me. It's just, I don't know, it's where my heart's at. So, and I think actually you were the one when I was kind of going back and forth, trying to put down the compound, keep the confidence. I remember that year I had a good deer that I was on, and I was seeing him but wasn't getting a shot. And I was like, yeah, I could have killed him with compound. I think it was you said, yeah, but you'd have robbed yourself. And I'm like,
I remember that.
I was like, dang, that makes a lot of sense. And so that stuck with me. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to stick with what I'm really enjoying. And so, no, like I said, nothing wrong with it. Don't, I'm not trying to, they're not trying to.
No, it's still bow hunting
for sure. Like that. No, it's, more power to you. Nothing against you. I don't mean I'm any better bow hunter or anything like that, or any better person. I just enjoy that longbow. But
yeah, just a whole other level, I think. And
Yeah.
and have you I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but I think because your dad built self bows and he's into arrowheads and stuff like that. Have you hunted with a self bow before? Have you ever thought about going that route?
I have. I've actually been talking to Alan Altizer. I've talked to him multiple times about going over there. He builds them all the time, and going over there and building one at the same time he builds one. He's always told me that, anytime. And I've started to. I just haven't. No real reason why. It's just one of those things that just hasn't happened. I'm sure in the future I definitely will
You got a lot of good hickory up there, so
yeah,
plenty of hickory.
Plenty of good wood growing around there. But yeah, it just hadn't happened yet, but it will. Like I said, I enjoy about everything around it, so I'm sure I would enjoy that too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I have my show notes here. Mark Harrison was making fun of me, calling me a nerd because I have notes. But come on, man, I'm trying to make it a little bit professional. But
right. Yeah.
It's funny you were mentioning your daughter. Just this is just not even a hunting thing, but just the way priorities shift in your life.
Oh yeah.
When you have a child, it's and they should shift. I mean, it doesn't shift for everybody, sadly. But can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I guess the best way I can explain it is you've hunted around me and you know how I am. I am as fanatical gets. And on a 7-day week, if you take any given 7-day week in bow season, I am hunting 6 to 7 of those days. And that's not like morning and evening. Obviously I've got to walk, I've got to work, I've got to pay bills and things like that. But whether it's evening or morning, whatever I can make work out, I'm legitimately hunting 6 to 7 of those most of the time. And like, for example, that second day of the season, the reason I killed that bird in the middle of the day was because that morning I walked down I walked down to the hill below where I was going, and it was pouring the snow. And I'm like, all right, whatever. They'll still do their thing. It's okay. I listened to that wind just going ripping up on top of the hill, and I was like, that's where I'm going. And that's the only place I can get to where I can get on these birds. And I just sat there and I was like, you know what? I got 8 days, and Callie is probably going to want to sleep in this morning. And, I can go take care a little bit and we can play this morning, have a big time. And, it probably gonna be more fun freezing to death and trying to keep the blind away. So I turned around, walked out of there, drove home, went back, got Clementine. She gets up, she's a little kid. She's 6 months old. So she's usually up by 6 o'clock. So I got her up and we sat there and played and sat by the fire, and I drank coffee and we had a big time. And so that's what's changed. Like 2 years ago, it don't matter if there was a tornado coming through, I would have been on that knoll. Like that's just all. I've got 4 or 5 tent stakes that I can tie down the outside of the blind. Like there's not a situation where I can't be hunting. But that morning and since then I've, that's, I'm not gonna miss too much time with my little girl just because she's only gonna be little one time.
And it's the best of both worlds, right? You can hunt, but you can come home and see your daughter and see your wife.
Yeah, that's just a sort of a microcosm of that conundrum, I guess, that I've been in, because the drive is still, it's not like I love hunting any less, but I love her more because she's my little girl. So, I don't really want to ever put anything in front of her, I don't guess, that besides the good Lord, I guess that's about the only thing that needs to be in front of her. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's great. So switching gears, big segue here. I know you were pretty competitive archer there for a few years. Are you still? I know you're super busy now, but for a while there, for several years, you were competing IBO and are you still doing that? Or are you?
We shoot. If it's not bow season, we're usually shooting on the weekends, and I can't help it. I wrestled my entire life, played every sport there was. I'm just competitive by nature. So if I'm doing something, I want to be good at it. And so I shoot a lot, and I still shoot a lot. Like I said, every weekend, if it's not hunting season, we're shooting somewhere. Still shoot. We didn't shoot IBO track. We didn't shoot Dry Worlds last year. it just didn't work out timing wise to get out there. We actually went out and hunted with Clay Epperson in Texas for a couple weeks. Callie and I did. So that was right around that same time. And so we didn't actually get out to Twin Oaks, I think it was last year, but this year it's right here in the backyard in West Virginia. It's, it's 2 states away, but it's only a couple hours from where I live in North Carolina. So,
and when is that?
That's at the end of not October. I'm sorry, July. I think it's the 15th through 17th. Maybe not.
I was going to say, if it was October, you're definitely not going.
No. I'm competitive. Don't get me wrong, but I would trade you every world title on the planet for a 2-year-old 8-point on opening day. Yeah. That's just how I am any day of the week. Like it's, I've won stuff, and a few years ago, I got second at Trad Worlds, and that's the best I've done. But that's just a plaque down there I couldn't care less. Like I enjoy it because it's fun, but at the end of the day, my heart's in bow hunting.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm doing it because I get to be a better bow hunter, and then I guess that's the best practice for me is if you can get out there and get that pressure on you and get a crunch time shot. That's really good practice because I don't know anybody that's not a hero in their backyard.
I'm not.
That's I don't know. It's not really relevant. You see guys stand out here in the yard, and I love those. Now y'all probably get you in trouble, but
that's all right.
I love those Instagram heroes that get out there and they're like first 2 at 64 yards. It's like, shut up, you're an idiot. Like I see this and I just laugh. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing because I see these guys post this, and it's like, okay, this Saturday I'll be shooting when there's a local shoot and we're shooting. On any given Saturday, there could be 3 to 4 IBO world champions in the traditional class. They can't do that.
They can't.
With them, and they can't.
Yeah.
So these Instagram heroes that they just make me laugh so hard, and Facebook heroes that post all this crap. Man, if they can really do that, like if there is nothing going on there, listen, I edit videos. I know there's ways to make things work.
Yeah.
If they can really do that, they are missing some serious opportunities because like I said, shooting with USA World Team members, they can't do that. No. At least the ones I've shot with, and
not consistently.
No way. There's a girl in West Virginia, Sydney Phipps, that will kick anybody's hind end. I can't tell you the last time I beat her in a tournament. I mean, it's been years. She'll beat you like a drum, and she can't do that crap. Like it's not there. And I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but it cracks me up.
I'm right there.
The thing that gets me fired up about it is not really like, I don't really care what, like if they get satisfaction out of that, whatever, it's their social media, whatever they want to do. But like you see these guys like post and they're like, well, I don't know if I'm quite, they get discouraged and they get down. It's like, well, I can't do that. And it's like, well, bud, neither can I. And I fill my tags every year. So it is what it is. You go out here and I do pretty well in tournament circuit, and I do pretty darn well out of a tree stand. And you watch me shoot out here in the yard and you hit 20 yards. It's going to be a, I don't know, 3 to 5 inch circle, something like that most of the time. And if I'm just shooting, and that is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say I bust knocks constantly, but I don't know.
You're a heck of a shot though, man.
Right. So some of that stuff on social media, it burns me up because you see these guys and then you hear them and they're like, well, I'm not good enough yet. I and they eventually put it down because they get discouraged, and it's like, well, I can shoot a 2-inch group at 65 yards with a compound. So, I guess I need to be taking that. So I don't know. I try to.
The other thing too is if they're hunters, I assume they're hunters. If they're taking 60-yard shots at deer with a stick bow, they're doing it wrong.
Right. Yeah.
They're hunting wrong. They're doing everything wrong.
That's the thing. You can actually get closer yourself. There's a way to
set
get
up so they get closer to you.
Yeah. No doubt.
What a thought.
It's such a thought to get closer. No, I saw that, and I see that all the time, guys. There's with those, some of those crossbows, they advertise shooting at 100, 150 yards or whatever. And it's like, have you ever thought about just getting closer? Yeah. Like, that's a novel idea. I realize that, but that's another thing. It's like these guys, I'll say one more thing and I'll shut up about social media.
No, that's fine.
But I see these guys like, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to sound horribly judgmental. They're not they're not good hunters. They're guys that like to play with toys is what it is. And you see these guys and it's like, oh, I shaved off 16 ounces off my setup this year. I paid $694 to do it. And like, it's like, bud, you're 40 pounds overweight. Like, have you thought about shaving off 20 pounds instead of 16 ounces? Like that drives me crazy. Like that's another thing. It's like, maybe not eat the whole pizza, and use, I don't know. I see that all the time. And that's another thing in social media wise. It's like, oh my gosh, what are these? Why don't we think about this? Why don't our brain work in that manner?
Well, yeah.
Not
the brightest lights on the tree, I'm thinking.
Yeah, instead of trying to shoot at 50 yards, why not just get them at 30 yards, 20 yards or 15 yards?
Getting stick bow close. It's kind of
right, definitely.
Otherwise, why aren't you hunting with a 300 Weatherby?
Yeah, Lord, you're gonna have to push me off my soapboxes. You're gonna get in trouble.
No, I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, I'm surprised you called it a crossbow instead of a cross gun, which is the real term for it, or the air blow. The air blow.
There's man, some of that stuff is like, I don't know. I just don't know how a manufacturer thinks it's a great idea to advertise a weapon that, like a crossbow that shoots, there's one that, literally it's a guy on a shooting bench, commercial is, and he's shooting at 100 yards. And it's like, cool. I'm not saying you can't shoot a 2-inch group at 100 yards. You absolutely can. But a deer's reaction time is somewhere around 1,200 feet per second. I don't care how fast your bow is.
Right.
That deer's way faster. And I don't know if you've ever heard those things go off. Like, you're spooking deer. Like, I mean, they know it's coming. And so there's a local guy that shot a big buck in Ohio, right in the hind end, because he was at 85 or 86 yards. And he said, well, I got it dialed into there. And he shot it in hind end. Poor thing, never found it. And it's like,
and they're light. The bolts are so light, and
a lot of people don't realize that too. Yeah, there's a lot of that takes away a lot of energy. And whatever, if you want to hold a crossbow, fine, but like like you said, the trajectory or the energy is a lot different there. There's a point of diminishing returns. And I don't know, I'm not really trying to get into the whole FOC thing or anything like that, but like you said, those bolts don't weigh anything. And when they get out there and you're having to push a really dull expandable broadhead through a deer, and that's even assuming that you hit the deer anywhere near where you want to. But that's my big thing. And that's why, I can stand out here in the yard and put pretty good groups and targets at 30, 35 yards, but that's, a 35-yard shot on a deer. I'm not going to take that, because unless it's can't think of it. I guess man never should say never, but I can't see myself taking that shot, because so many things happen, between the time of you releasing that arrow and that arrow getting to the deer. It's like, maybe it doesn't matter if you hit where you're trying to hit. If where you're trying to hit is not a good spot anymore, then there's a problem there. So,
and deer are not just standing still like statues most of the time. They're moving, they're feeding, they're browsing, they're by the time they could just be going through their natural movement pattern through the woods, and by the time the bolt or the arrow gets there, they're already taking 2 steps or 3 steps. Greg Dudley, I don't know if you know him from Florida. He was past president of TBOF down here, and a friend of mine, and he said he went on a hunt in Texas, and they were hunting deer. I think they were over feeders, but he shoots a trad bow, real good shot. Shoots a black widow. That's nothing to do with the story, but anyway, he shot at a doe, and how high strung the Carolina deer are. The Texas deer are high strung too, and he shot. He said, "Yeah, I made a perfect double lung hit." But when he shot, the deer completely flipped around, was facing the other way. So he shot it on the other side, double lunged it, but completely facing the other way.
Yeah, I believe
that's how fast they are, 25 yards,
Absolutely. I can see that. A lot of guys, it took me a long time to realize, especially when I switched to a stick bow, I'm going to have to hold like on the bottom line of the chest. Like, it is very rare that I'm holding anywhere near where I want to hit. Like, I am usually, the spot I pick out, you hear all the time picking a spot, I shoot, pretty well instinctive, and the spot I'm picking is always on the bottom line. Like, there's never a point where I'm holding up on that deer, because if I hold up on that deer, I'm going to shoot it either in the back strap or over it, one or the other. So yeah, that's a no doubt there. I completely believe that story 100%.
They should, I just thought of this now when you were saying that they should have 3D targets that drop at the sound of the arrow.
Yeah, that wouldn't be
to
fair.
train you to shoot a little bit lower.
Lord have mercy. North Carolina and Texas boys would have an unfair advantage in that game.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So yeah, no doubt about that.
The Florida deer aren't as bright for sure. They just they call it Florida
Well,
for a reason.
It's the same way and for the deer too, right? But
yeah.
We sit up here in the mountains, we got curvy roads, and if you see those two oranges on that tag, you better just hit the brakes because they go on 10 around them curves. That's the way that works. But anyways, I don't remember where I was going with that. Got me distracted with the Florida stuff.
I could go on and on.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No, it's like
I live it every day
too. Yeah, hunting deer other places like in Ohio, I've shot under 2 does back to back. I've got video to prove it. I was holding just under the deer or just where the line meets because it was 21, 22 yard shot, and so I wanted I didn't want to hit her high or shoot over, and so I held right under, and I'm like, well, I'll either smoke her or shoot right under, and I shot right under. Yeah. So the next deer came up. The next deer came in the same kind of ballpark range, and I said, well, what's the chances lightning strikes twice? Took the same shot in the same place. Right.
Really?
Under. Yeah, because they just stood there and looked at me. They didn't duck. Yeah. And I was like, what are you doing?
That's how that's when I lived in Iowa for 4 years, as you know, and the deer out there, I mean, this is 20 years ago, but I can't imagine it's much different. But you shoot at them, they don't drop, I'm sure they do. They react to the sound because they're white tails, but they don't go out of their skin. They don't come out of their skin like a Carolina buck or a Texas or wherever.
Well, Oklahoma. You honestly do. You need to hold basically underneath the deer, at least on the bottom of the heart or on the heart. And that's at a bare minimum. And I know, somebody's probably sitting there saying, oh, they're exaggerating. Well, I'm not exaggerating. That's really how it is. And
we've had so many videos. We've filmed so many deer.
So many things to prove it. But and the thing is, there's I guess the pressure around here, I don't know. I guess the pressure and the amount, North Carolina's a baiting state, and every other ridge has a bait pile on it, and which has a guy sitting on a tree above it. So does a lot of times come through the woods looking up in trees, and that's just how things are. And I think that has a lot to do with it, to be completely honest, because a lot of those places, like Iowa, they're not baiting. They're not. They're deer doing deer things. And that's one thing a lot of guys don't realize around here. That's the go-to method is to put out some bait, and they don't understand. A lot of guys don't understand that you're completely taking that deer out of his element. Like you're hunting a deer that's wired because he knows he's going into a trap, or he or she.
Yeah,
whatever.
Sure.
They know they're going into a trap. And so I think that adds a lot to the reaction time, at least around here. But
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of Iowa, you have plans for this fall?
Yeah, we're going to Iowa. Ethan and I will pull. We've been putting in for this tag. This will be the 4th year. So from what I've read, most of the units you can pull with 4 preference points. I think some of the real prime, I think maybe southeast Iowa, we might need 5. But most of the state we can pull with 4, I think. So we're looking at places all over the state. We're going to go out there from the ballpark of October 28th to November 13th. We're going to go out there for 2 weeks. And we'll pull a little camper, and
nice.
And we're just gonna rough it, and we'll rough it. I say we're gonna be in a camper, so it's not really gonna be roughing it, but we're gonna, hunt pretty hard and see what happens. That's been a dream of ours for years, and it's stupid expensive. I mean, I could be going on an elk hunt for cheaper than I'll have in this Iowa hunt.
What does the tag go for now?
Well, the tag's not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal. It's a huge deal, but not only that, you got to put in it for a preference point, and those preference points are $50. I thought originally, just to be completely honest, I thought that would come off my license when I finally did pull, because that seems to be commonplace. In Iowa, that's not the case. You're just buying a spot in line is all you're doing. Yeah. And so you buy your spot in your line 4 years straight, and on the 4th year you can apply, you get your license, and then your license, I think, is like $650 or something like that. And then you've already got 200 in it if you got 4 years in. So I'm going to be sitting, just to get legal, I'm going to be sitting in the ballpark of $800-900 by the time everything's said and done. And that's pretty darn expensive. That's an elk tag. Yeah, that's elk prices there.
Yeah.
But now it's it's once in a lifetime hunting. I mean, you're sitting there, you're hunting giant deer. So I get it, but
yeah, you'll see some big ones for sure. There's no, I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to jinx you, but yeah,
right. No,
the average
I'm
deer out there
excited.
is pretty impressive. Even the does are impressive. I mean,
Oh yeah,
big animals, man.
Right. With 14 days, I hope that we can get on them. Hope that we can find some action. Like with that amount of time, I feel good about the chances as long as the weather, just knock on wood that the weather is the weather cooperates. We were in Ohio year before last, and it was 80 degrees for the first 10 days of November. And you want to talk about shutting crap down? That's just everything down. And I mean, everything was just happening at night. So hopefully nothing like that happens, because that would be a total bummer. But I would love to get some good cold weather and
yeah, I don't think it's gonna. And when are you going? What period?
October. We'll be October 28th through November 13th.
Oh gosh, yeah, you're right in the money there. Holy
yeah,
cow.
We
November 4th is always really good for me out there.
Yeah, I've always done really well November 7th through November 9th. I've always done really well. In Ohio here, I've done really well there. Or not in Iowa, I've never been to Iowa, but in Ohio and here. So I'm excited about that. And we're going to try to, we're going to hunt Ohio all of October. And where I live, I can get to, I can get to the Ohio line in like just under 4 hours. And so I can hunt all of southeastern Ohio within 5-hour drive. So, we do a lot of weekend hunts. So we'll go up Friday after work and then hunt, Saturday, all day Saturday, half a day Sunday, and then come home, which seems like very low percentage. But once you've been up to a place a few years, you can usually get in the right ballpark pretty quick. And, and then all it takes is stand time. And so this year, we'll do the same thing in Ohio. We'll go hunt in October and hunt here during the week, on Ohio on the weekends, hopefully, and then go to Iowa at the end. So it'll be fun. It'll be.
Do are you hunting mostly public land out in Iowa?
Yeah, all public. Oh. Yeah, unless we were to luck into go knock on a door or something, and we're to luck into some land. Yeah. It'll be all public, which is fine.
I don't think I have any contacts out there anymore, unfortunately. I mean, 10 years ago, I would have definitely gotten you on some farms. Yeah. But, it's been a long time.
I talked to I can't remember if it was Gene or Barry Wenzel I was talking to him and kind of picking her brain about dates and things like that, and I can't remember if it was Gene or Barry, but they were like, man, that is almost criminal to pull that tag after that many years and be hunting public land. And they were telling me and there's a couple different lease sites that we could look into that, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it's ground that's leased by these companies, and you basically buy a membership into this company, and that gets you access to those farms.
Okay.
Which I can see working. But to be honest, I kind of like the public land game too.
Yeah, I know you're really into that.
Yeah, it adds another element too that's fun, and I tend to like to roam. I don't like being contained into little things. So I like getting out. There's just something about having my stuff on my back and getting out there and going for a couple miles. I really like that, and I really like, as stupid as it sounds, I really like getting game back there and packing it back out. And some of the best times Ethan and I have been packing animals back at 12:30 in the morning, the middle of the night, and whether it was a bear or a deer or whatever. And we really enjoyed that. So that's.
Did you when you killed your turkey, did you have him help you pack it out, or
no? I just
four-wheeler for that, or
no? I just toted it right out of there, grabbed it by the foot, and brought him home. But he was frying in that pan within hours of him.
Is that right?
So, yeah, Callie somehow stumbled upon the KFC recipe. Supposedly the KFC recipe to fry stuff. So she cut those breasts into nuggets and fried those up. And let me tell you something, they make you smack your grandma. They were fantastic. But
shoot an arrow through her hair.
Yeah, do whatever you got to do. My gosh, that's good stuff. Yeah, we 2 turkey breasts make quite a bit of nuggets, and we cut the whole thing up and fried them. And by the time we got done, I looked over there and we had this giant bowl of nuggets. And I was like, holy crap, how are we going to eat all these? Well, about 3 days later, they were just as good as they were that first day.
Nice.
And so I told Cal, I said, that's when you know you got a good recipe. But I ate them for 3 meals and still loved them.
Awesome.
But,
That's great.
yeah.
What you want to, we're right at about an hour now. You want to give people your contact info, your cell phone number, your email address.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see if
boy.
I can. Let me see if I can find your info before I give anything.
I'll
just give yourself
me.
Yeah, just text Jim if you want to talk to me. No, no, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at the Stickboys. You can find us on YouTube at Stickboys. We're always trying to drop something, whether it's hunting or hunting turkeys or deer or scouting. One thing that we're going to try to do a lot more of is woodsmanship type stuff. That's one thing that we sort of pride ourselves on, is woodsmanship. A lot of guys, and it kind of goes back to me picking on folks that are 40 pounds overweight trying to lose stand weight. A lot of guys will spend hundreds and thousands of dollars and on new equipment and new trucks and new leases and for corn piles and new bows and arrows and broadheads and everything in the world, anything they can buy to make themselves better, but they won't take the time a lot of times, or sometimes don't think about taking the time to get better in the woods. And of course, I was picking on folks saying, why don't you just get a little bit closer? That's something we really pride ourselves on is the woodsmanship aspect, and knowing what's going on, knowing kind of hopefully what they're doing, and just being kind of more of an intimate feel with it. And so that's what we try to portray on YouTube, that and just the sheer enjoyment of what we're doing. I hope that passion and that enjoyment comes through on the videos. That's kind of what we go for anyway. So yeah, go check them out. Hopefully you'll enjoy something, and if not, just comment on there we suck, and that'd be fine too.
It'll get you more views probably than negative.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my
the old algorithm used to be that way. I don't know if it's anymore, but who knows?
It is. Yeah, comments are king. I told my class, my social studies class, there's a show, See It in 10, that they watch quite often. It's always got news and stuff on it, so they're watching this and they're trying to get these shout outs. So this show does the shout out. It's like, well, if you comment what school you're from, they might give you a shout out live on the show. And I watched that and I said, y'all are crazy. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, he's just boosting his algorithm. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, every one of those comments pushes you on YouTube, which means that YouTube will recommend that video more based on those comments. I said, so you're building his subscriber list is all you're doing. And that he's just saying your name to make you do it for him.
Right.
And they're like, how do you know that? And
Carrot.
I was like, yeah. And I said, I've said too much.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next day they come in and they're like, we found you.
That's funny.
But,
yeah. This is the woodsmanship thing. I was just thinking, just to back up a bit, I teach in it's really a suburb, but it is in Miami, and it's Miami Springs. But there's kids that are it's kind of a cool campus because they walk outside to get to their next class. So it's not just contained like a prison, for lack of a better term. Right. So they have to walk outside to get to to PE or to art or whatever. Right. And so that's a great thing. But during but I'll quiz them, especially the older kids, about different things, like because they know I'm really into nature and hunting and whatnot and science. And I was like, I asked the kid yesterday, how do you know it rained real hard yesterday? He was like, the ground's wet. Well, really, is it?
Yeah.
No, it's not wet, it's dry. But look over here. And then, when it rains, how it is in Florida, when it rains, it rains.
It rains. Yeah.
All the mulch from the playground area had piled up in one corner. So I was like, why do you think it did that?
Yeah.
And then I was like, he didn't really get it, but I was like,
yeah.
See, because it floated and then it went to the low point. So there's a pile, it's all, and then the rest of it is all dirt. So it rained really hard because all that stuff floated up on the surface. Yeah. When raw water dropped, it drifted over to the low spot and it's all settled there. Like just stuff like that. And then I'll even point out to teachers, like, do you know what? There's a beautiful plant on it's a native Florida plant called beautyberry. You've probably seen it before. It's got these little purple berries, like in clumps. You've seen it probably at the Dead Horse, but right. I'll point it out to teachers. And like, I'm trying to do, it's not really woodsmanship. It's more nature oriented, but just get these kids motivated and interested in the outdoors. And some of them do come from hunting families. but it's kind of a rare thing these days, even, especially in a city. But just
that's one thing that's been
segue there.
to me is
Pardon me, I'm blowing my nose. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. That's one thing that's been eye-opening to me teaching is the amount, which I'm kind of the opposite situation. I'm in obviously in Aurora County, and
right.
Most every kid in there eats deer meat and has some kind of activity in the outdoors, whether it's hunting or fishing or riding a dirt bike. Most kids have some sort of activity. They don't always do that, but some sort of activity. And it's been, it's so cool to get them out there and watch their faces when we do things like I started this outdoorsman club, and we run trail cameras all over the woods and stuff outside of school, and get them up there and teach them the difference between like a white and red wet oak. I said wet oak, white and a red oak. Teaching them different plant stuff, and then trying to, I made this November. I actually made a mock scrape. I don't know if I sent you this picture or not.
No.
And I went up there, and I created this outdoorsman club, and they had a free sign up. It's like, hey, you sign up for these clubs, everybody's got to pick a club. Well, our curriculum director texted me that night, and she said, we got a problem. And I was like, what's that? She said, 78 kids signed up for outdoorsman. And I was like, well,
oops.
So what do? I kept them. Why not? They want to be outdoors, so we're going to do something outdoors. So I got a couple of teachers to help me, and when we split them 3 ways and rotate them through, and so I took them up in the woods, and there was this little bench, and it's just a gorgeous bench, and I'd love to hunt it if I can get somebody in that school board that.
Yeah.
Anyways, if I can figure out how to get permission to hunt that, it'd be awesome. But anyways, there's this bench, and there was nothing there. It was just leaves on the ground. It was really pretty. It was early November, and these boys were in there. I said, boys, we're going to get a picture of a good deer right here this weekend. And it was like November 2nd, 3rd of the time to be doing this. And he's like, what do you mean? And no, you're not. And I said, yeah, we're going to get the picture right here. And they said, no way. There's no way that's going to happen. He said, you don't have no corn. You don't have no apples. He said, how are you going to get a picture of a big deer? And I was like, watch this. So I went over and I made a mock scrape. I put my hand up in my shirt sleeve and broke a branch off for a licking branch. And I took a stick, kicked it out real big, and put a camera on it. It was just in a perfect location.
You didn't pee in it, did you?
No, that would have got me fired. But anyways, one of the kids did, but no, I'm just kidding. They didn't. But anyways, so I did all that, put the camera up, and I said, all right, boys, what's going to happen is he's going to come from one of these sides. He's going to walk behind the scrape. He's going to work his way in. I said, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to stick his head in that branch. I said, what he's doing, he's rubbing his preorbital glands on those branches. And that's kind of like a, hey, I'm here type thing. That's like you on social media posting a picture of you with a cutoff flexing. That's basically what they're doing. And I said, and then he's going to walk in, and he's going to kind of bend down. His butt's going to go down. His back legs are going to go together, and he's going to pee in the scrape. And I said, and then he's going to walk off with his tail up. And they just laughed. They thought, you're foolish. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'll see if I can find the picture to show you. And so we went back up there. And of course, I felt really good about the odds. It's not that I didn't think it was going to happen, but it was like, it's probably one of them where it's going to be a 4-pointer, but whatever. Let me see if I can find this darn picture. But not only was a deer on there, I mean, an absolute hammer, probably 140 plus inch 10-point. I mean, a big old mature buck. He circled behind the scrape, walked in, put his head in the licking branch, kicked it around with his head, rubbed that stuff all over, stepped into the scrape. So I had it on like 5-second delay. So we're getting like 15 pictures of this deer. Mm-hmm. Goes in, puts his legs together, pees in the scrape, walks off with his tail up. Those boys looked like they had seen a ghost when we went through that thing. Like they even accused me. They're like, this
Photoshop
camera. Yeah, you and then I showed them like 10 pictures before is us standing there that day. It would happen that night. And so like 10 pictures before, we're standing there, and I was like, boys, how am I faking this? Like, look, right, I'm not lying. And I'm sitting there just shaking my head going the whole time, holy crap, I can't believe that. But those boys just about flipping died when that happened, and they all hunt, and they were all excited about that. But
taught them something. That's amazing.
Yeah, it did. And so they, immediately they're like, all right, Mr. Lewis, I got a question. I'm like, what? He goes, well, we got a pretty good deer on camera, but he's only there at like 2:00 in the morning. So what am I going to have to do? And I said, you're sitting on a corn pile, aren't you? And he goes, yeah. And I said, where are you at? And he said, well, it's on the edge of a field and we got a box blind. I said, that might work if he's after a doe. I said, you need to get closer to the thickets. I said, you need to figure out where he's coming from and get closer to that. I said, because he's not getting there until dark. It's like, you need to be somewhere where he might be during the daylight and it's not going to be the edge of that field. And so they were really excited and they were dead serious, man. And they'd come in the next day. It's like, man, I tried what you said and I saw more deer, away from the corn in the woods than I did on the edge of the field. No,
yep.
Like, it works for you, man. I'm telling you.
And humans are, we like puzzles. We like to figure out puzzles.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think that's part of it. But man, you want to talk about getting into it? They really get into it and they keep up with everything. That's the thing. You get on our stuff, you're not going to hear cussing, you're not going to hear stuff like that. And it's not because we're trying to be any better than anybody else. It's just, that's why those kids are all over that stuff. They get on there. And when I kill a turkey, I'll get emails. That's like, oh, that was awesome turkey, or as soon as I walk into school, they're like, I can't believe you got that close to that turkey. So that's another thing. You got to be careful, but and that just goes back. We've said on the podcast a lot, everybody that's out there that's got social media that is an outdoorsman you're an ambassador for the sport, whether you like it or not, whether you're okay with that, you're an ambassador for the sport. And that is, people are looking at that and people see that and, whether that's good, whether that's a positive thing or a negative thing, you're making a difference and you're putting images in people's mind. So I think it would do a lot of hunters, good to be conscientious of that, of what you're putting on there. For people to see, because a lot it's like politics. People don't realize it doesn't matter who Democrats or Republicans run, they're going to get 40% of the vote. You could run the devil himself as a Democrat or a Republican and 40% of people will vote for him because they're going to vote for that candidate. But that's not who decides elections. Every election has those 40%. Who decides the elections is the 20% that's really undecided. That's what wins elections. Right. A lot of folks don't realize that hunting's the exact same way. If we ever lose our right to hunt, it's not going to be from PETA. It's not going to be from anti-hunters. It's going to be from the middle 20%, the normal Joe Blows down the street that are like, they don't care either way, but they see stupid things happen. And, it ruins it for everybody. They get a bad taste in their mouth. And then they're like, well, I don't know if you should be hunting or not, if that's going to happen. So, I sometimes I see stuff on there and I just sort of shake my head. I've been really hard on social media tonight, but I see stuff on there that just makes me shake my head sometimes.
It's well deserved,
Yeah.
Yeah, and, I try to not go on it so much anymore, but
right. And like I said, it can be just as powerful a force for good.
The other way, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you see guys posting pictures all the time, really good photos that are really respectful photos, like that just they're just good, clean photos, and they do things the right way. And people, that same 20% can see that and say, hey, that actually makes a lot of sense. What the way prices are, the way food is now, and it might be something I want to take up in the future. So it can work either way. I think it's just up to the every man to be a good ambassador, I guess.
Absolutely. Yep.
I'm still
you find it, or
I'm still, how it is. You go to show somebody a picture and it takes
it disappears somehow.
Yeah, it's like a vortex of.
You know how I am when we went to Greece last summer. I took over 900 pictures on my phone.
You'll never get through any of them. That's the case.
Yeah.
I found pictures from my work, and I don't know where they're at. But, anyways.
You can always send it to me.
I will.
In the show notes.
I'm dang stubborn. I'm like, well, I'm so close now. It's got to be.
No, you got to find it. We're gonna.
It's got to be right here. Oh gosh, yeah. So, anyways, shoot, come on now. All right, I'm into this fall.
Here we go.
I've got to be getting close.
10, 9, 8.
Putting a timer on it. There's Clementine being born, so it's got to be right
within 6 months.
Yeah, because that was.
Well, no, it was in the fall. That's right.
This happened like a month later. So
did I show you the trout pictures? Did I send you those from last weekend?
Yeah, those were awesome.
I cut a nice one.
You got into them.
Yeah, big horse.
This is the first picture.
Oh boy! Wow.
Yeah, know if you can see that.
Gorgeous. Yeah, I can see it. Yep.
He's an absolute monster.
Yep. Whoa. Middle of the night, right?
Yeah, but he was there 2 days later, right on a doe hunt in, walking right across that bench at like 8:30 in the morning. Sun coming through, gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And then boys, you want to talk about, you couldn't have put a pretty woman in front of them and they'd have been any more excited. They were just couldn't talk. They're like, oh my gosh, if we'd have been sitting there, we could have shot that buck. And I was like, yeah, sure enough. And they'd be like, oh, we'll come on here this Saturday. And I was like, well, you have to deal with the board if you get in trouble. But
yeah, that's funny. That's a great buck. Is it a 10 or is it an 8 or 10? I couldn't tell.
It's a 10. Yeah, it's a 10.
Yeah.
One of the boys that is actually in that class, they've got permission to hunt. They own the farm that is next to it. And so he was really having a stroke. He's like, oh my God, I can actually hunt that deer. And his brother actually killed an absolute hammer. Like the next week, one muzzleloading open, and the boys, the next day at school, he showed me the picture. He's like, I think my brother killed that buck. And I was like, really? And he showed me the picture, and it was one that was the same caliber, but it was not the same buck. He was an 11 pointer.
Oh, okay.
But it was same caliber. So it was pretty cool. And boys did pretty good, no doubt about it.
That's awesome.
I guess we helped them out a little bit with the intel.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Okay, Dalton, man, thank you so much. It's been really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope I didn't ramble too much. You know how I am.
No. It's good rambling. Good info. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll have to get up. I know you're moving up here, so I'm sure we'll
looking forward to fishing with you and doing some scouting this summer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get in. You're gonna have to get up here and get some scouting done and get after some smallmouth. That's one thing I didn't do at all last summer because we were remodeling the house. And this summer, I'm really excited about getting back after smallmouth. I love that. I really love getting after those smallmouth late May with those big white streamers and poppers. They get so aggressive. I love that. But anyway, you have to get up here and take part of that. But
we'll do it, man.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. See you.
Bye.